Hello and welcome to our next podcast where we continue the Art of the Warrior, and we're going over the Bhagavad Gita, that part also. But before we begin on this Wednesday, May 6th, we're going to start with the Eternal Teachings. So if everybody could please sit back, relax, close your eyes, take a nice deep breath in, hold it, and slowly let it out. And let's do that one more time. Let's slowly take a deep breath in, hold, and slowly let it out. The Eternal Teachings by Christopher Timms. There is an essence that binds and sustains and is all life. This essence, this living presence, is the oneness that you are. The oneness that you are. Shapeless, formless, and eternal are you, with no boundaries, with no containers. You were never born, so you can never die. This is the oneness that you are. This is the oneness that you are. With nothing to grow into and nothing to become, for you are all life. You are all life. There's no separation between me and you, and the air that we breathe, the sun that shines upon us, and the earth that we walk on. No separation at all. All life is one, always has been, and always will be. And this oneness that is in the air and on the earth, this oneness that is the seasons for the harvest and the laughter of the children, this is the oneness that you are. This is the oneness that you are. This cannot be taught to you, for this is not to be understood. This is only to be experienced, appreciated, and realized. Accept this and be free. Accept this and be free. Accept this, all of this. All of this, and be. Just be. Just be. Just be. Now take a nice deep breath in and slowly let it out, and placing your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Welcome. Are we ready, Kim?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Do you want to recap what we covered last time so it kind of catches everybody up for where we are going today?
I would be delighted. So we went over the 6 core ideas about the art of the warrior according to Sun Tzu in his book, The Art of War. We got through the first 5. We're going to finish the 6th today. But the first was that the supreme warrior wins without fighting. Second, self-knowledge is the warrior's foundation. Then we had 3, emotionless clarity beats emotional force. Number 4 was preparation is compassion. 5, adaptability is mastery. And now we're ready for number 6.
And number
Go ahead, you do.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The warrior protects resources, including energy.
Okay. Shall I?
You shall.
Okay. Sun Tzu cautions that there is no instance of a country having benefit from prolonged warfare. Sun Tzu teaches restraint. Don't exhaust troops, don't waste resources or drain supplies. Don't prolong conflict. Long campaigns weakens everyone. He sees war as constantly costly even when you win. So a wise leader ends conflict quickly, uses minimum force, and avoids unnecessary battles. Our message here is a wise warrior doesn't spend their life force pivoting a point. Proving a point. Spirituality. Energy is a resource. Time is a resource. Attention is a resource. A conscious warrior doesn't argue every point or chase every offense. Practical applications. Protect your energy. Choose your battles. And don't overextend your emotionally. So, first question is, where is my life? Am I spending energy trying to prove a point instead of preserving my peace?
You want to talk about it before we move on?
How about I read all of them first and then we'll go back?
Sure.
Which conflict in my life truly matters? And which ones simply drain me? Do I feel obligated to respond to every offense or disagreement? Why? How would my life change if I treated my time and attention as precious resources? Where might letting go be a stronger choice than pushing forward? Lots of interesting questions to be answered. Do you have a favorite one that you would like to start with?
No, but I'll start with number one.
Okay.
Where in my life am I spending energy trying to prove a point instead of preserving my peace? Well, I was thinking I try not to do that. So here's where I'm not doing it. And it sounds silly, but hey. So my husband doesn't like Pink Floyd. And he told me that every time it comes on the radio, he changes the station.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. I'm like, okay. So I've been watching always. Is that true? No, I've heard Pink Floyd come on at least 7 times now since he said that, and he has not once changed the station. Maybe he meant when he's not with me. I don't know. But I choose not to point that out to him. It's just for my internal validation that I knew that wasn't true. Anyway. So I am not spending my energy trying to prove a point, which really doesn't matter. And I like Pink Floyd, so I don't care. How about you? Any question you want to chat about?
So there was which conflict in my life, I guess number 2, which conflict in my life truly mattered and which one simply drains me? I find that with my children. There are, it's called pick your battles, I guess, with your kids, because a lot of times I find that the little things I let go more because it's not worth getting all worked up and everything. It doesn't matter. Now, a conflict that has come up that does truly matter is my son's wedding, and there is some conflict over dress apparel for the girls. And there is a point where if not everybody is in a dress, then they can't stand up as a bridesmaid. And that one I really have to watch out, because I can feel that conflict can really get to me, and it can be kind of draining too if I dwell on it too much. And there was a point where I was spending a lot of energy on this conflict, and I've really had to learn to let it go, because it's one of those things. Wait and see what we can find for everybody and what everybody's going to be comfortable in. And maybe, hopefully, my son will come around and things will work themselves out. But those are conflicts, this matters to him, it matters to me, it matters to his fiancée, and some of the bridesmaids, it matters to them. So it's kind of this interconnecting web of, not trying to trump one over the other. So it's been an interesting little ride, and that one's been up since like a week and a half now that we've been kind of mulling this over, and it just working on staying present with it all and not getting too hyped up has been a challenge. So
let me ask you about that. So a few of you all are adamant every of the bridesmaids needs to wear a dress, and one or more of the bridesmaids don't want to wear a dress. Do I have that right?
My son is very much adamant about everybody wearing a dress, and the rest of us are a little more lenient on that. And so he's like, it's my wedding, and I want everybody to be in a dress, and not everybody feels comfortable in a dress. So it's kind of this tug and pull right now. So we'll see where it ends up.
I can see both points, because it is his wedding, and if you want to take part in his wedding, but at the end of the day, you're married, did it really matter?
Exactly.
So,
yeah, so it becomes this kind of tug and pull.
So now are you just going to stay out of it and let them figure it out?
I am the watcher right now, just watching to see how it goes. But I also know that there are a couple of them that still need to get their wedding attire, including me. I still need to get my wedding attire. So I'm working on not dwelling on it, because it's not going to do me any good if I sit and dwell on it. But I can tell you, Mama Bear is sitting on the sideline, like ready to kind of pounce too if things start to go awry. So I'm trying to behave my P's and Q's. And
well, bridesmaids, they're not known for loving what they have to wear for the wedding.
I know.
You just do it.
Exactly. So that is one, and it has drained me, because I had a couple days where I just was like I was not feeling it. I was just like, this is, I don't want my family broke up from this. I don't want things to be awry. There's enough conflict already going on with this wedding. I don't want that. So it did, for a couple days, cause a lot of tension in the house. So we'll see where it ends up.
Well, I wonder for the actual wedding they can wear the dress. For the reception, they could change and be more comfortable for the party. That's just my question.
And that might be a nice compromise. I don't know. we still have to work out some of the details. Not all of them are worked out.
And it's not going to happen on this show.
Correct. Correct. So what's our next one?
Let's see. I made a note next to, do I feel obligated to respond to every offense or disagreement, and why? And what came up for me when I thought about that was, sometimes I hear people talking about me and a situation that happened involving me, and it's not quite the way I remember it. And I have to think, do I butt into their conversation, or do I let them tell the story however they want to? And usually I decide I don't care. It would put that other person who is lying to an awkward position, or look stupid, or I honestly think that's the way they remember it. I don't think they're just trying to embellish. But and maybe I'm wrong, because how is it the past is just what you think you remember of what you think happened, something like that. I don't remember how it goes. But anyhow, that was what I thought. I don't feel obligated to respond to every offense, because like we talked about, it's just draining and waste time, and it doesn't matter. So just keep walking and find a pleasant conversation.
Yep.
Well, actually, I'll usually tell somebody like blah 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 blah, and then I move on.
Would that be where might letting go be stronger choice than pushing forward? So, letting go of what they're chit-chatting over here, and you saying, okay, I'm just going to let it go and just make my own way.
Yeah. Yes, I'll just say yes. All right. Do you have another question that you would like to expand upon?
No, not right now. So
I do.
Okay. Go for it.
Well, how would my life change if I treated my time and attention as precious resources? Well, I think I would get more done. I wouldn't be wasting time watching a show, or I really have cut back on my app game on my phone that we've talked about in the past. And I think I'd be more financially secure because I wouldn't have wasted money. And I think I'd have better health because I would have paid better attention to my health and not waste the time. I could have been exercising instead of doing something, or I could have done a lot of different things focusing on. And I did make a comment on where might letting go be a stronger choice than pushing forward. I have a little hard time letting go if you looked at all the stuff in my house, but I think I'd be more organized. But I also think I'm loyal, overly loyal sometimes. I don't want to leave a club because what do you call it, attendance or membership, they need me. But I don't really benefit from being there now, but I was there when other people helped me, so I want to help them. And am I just being loyal, or do I need to stay? Do I need to go? So I just need to make a decision either way and be at peace with it, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And just like that, and I can also see, my time and precious, going back to that one too, is, there's times where I have time that it's just, I want to say empty time, but it's not really empty time, but it's that you always feel so busy, and when you have like that time that there's nothing urgent or nothing pressing to do, and you're sitting there kind of like, what do I do? You feel like your time, you're just wasting your time, or what could I be doing with my precious time that, but I've used it, I'm so busy that that empty space feels weird to not have something filled in it. So, does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. You're like, is it okay for me to do nothing?
Exactly. So yeah.
Do we want to ask for any input from the gallery?
Sure. Anybody else have any questions or comments or anything?
No, just intrigued about the wedding.
Yes.
What does your son? What does the bride feel?
Well, she kind of like them all to be in dresses, but she's also more understanding and more willing to compromise with a more flowy pantsuit over a dress per se. So she's a lot more willing to give leeway, where my son is adamant about it's a dress or you're out. And she's like, I picked my ladies because they have special meaning to me. And she's like, and I don't really want anybody else in my wedding. So it's kind of, we'll see where this little saga goes.
Yeah. And I mean, and what about the grooms? Like, is there an issue there on that? No.
The only issue that's going on with the grooms is two of them don't really get along. So as long as they're not having to be next to each other for very long, things will be okay.
So how about this? Your son take care of the grooms, his buddies, and your daughter takes care of her friends, right?
Yep.
Simple.
Yeah.
Problem solved.
There we go. We've solved the world problem with the wedding.
Well, the good thing is none of the guys want to wear dresses.
Well, that's there's that.
Well, wear a tuxedo dress.
There is that. So
it is acceptable for women to wear pants. That's all I'm saying.
It is, and there's ways of kind of having more flowy pants that can kind of look more of a dress without being in a dress. So it's just a matter of us getting out there and looking now, and trying to, keep peace amongst the wedding party. We'll see.
Or maybe she could wear pants under her dress. Just a thought.
That's a possibility too. We'll see. I'll keep you updated. How's that? I'll let you know when it ends up coming out and when it comes to fruition, and if all the bridesmaids will be up there, or if we'll be down a bridesmaid and a groomsman walk by himself. I don't know.
How many bridesmaids are there?
There are 4, and there's 4 groomsmen.
Okay. Including the maid of honor and best man in those 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Anybody else before we move on? 2 cents about the wedding?
So to finish up, what the Art of the Warrior is not teaching. It is not teaching violence for its own sake, domination as a virtue, ego-based conquest, or constant aggression. It teaches strategy, awareness, timing, restraint, and efficiency.
I can see how that's why they use the art of war for business, because it is strategy and timing and being efficient with your resources.
Right. So key warrior principles for the Art of the Warrior. win before conflict, know yourself deeply, act from clarity, not emotion, choose timing wisely, protect energy and resources, and adapt to what is. So, Sun Tzu, Art of Warrior, isn't about being aggressive. It is about being so aware, prepared, and grounded that conflict becomes unnecessary. When applied inward, it teaches us to know ourselves, manage our time and energy, and respond with clarity rather than emotion. That makes him less of a fighter and more of a guardian of peace. In contrast, Sun Tzu externalize the strategy, prevent conflict, clarify over emotion, win without fighting, where Dan Millman, who was in our first book, Internal Mastery, Transcend Conflict, presence over fear, peace without positivity.
Passivity.
Passivity, thank you.
Positivity.
So then we come to together they form a complete Art of the Warrior. So first question is, what battles could be avoided with more awareness? 2, where are we wasting energy fighting what doesn't matter? And 3, what would it look like to win but not engaging? So, some good questions there. So, battles could be avoided with more awareness. Well, I guess I could go back to the wedding. We do have quite a few battles going on with this wedding, and I wouldn't say they're battles, more that they're more a lot of conflict. But I feel like if my son and the bridal party and everybody involved would have more awareness to the understanding of personal needs, personal beliefs, I feel like there would be a lot less conflict going on. There's other conflict going on besides the attire, but awareness I feel is huge. The more aware we are with our surroundings, with the words that we say, with the things that we do, it helps alleviate a lot of the conflict if we're more aware. So I think awareness is one of those key words that I know I tend to forget. So it's something to keep in the back of our minds to be more aware. How about you?
I agree.
You agree?
Yeah, I don't have more to add to that. Sounds good.
Okay. Do you want to engage in any of the other questions or anybody else? If not, I'll read the bottom line.
Well, let me just, I just kind of want to make it clear the contrast between the Art of War and Dan Millman, how the Art of War, Sun Tzu was looking more externally, Dan Millman internally, kind of repeating but going back and forth. Sun Tzu was about preventing conflict. Dan was about transcending conflict. Sun Tzu was clarity over emotion, and Dan Millman was presence over fear. And Art of the Peaceful Warrior, we didn't mention that. And Sun Tzu is win without fighting, and Dan is like have peace without passivity. I just thought it was interesting, the external view and the internal view of being a warrior.
In both of them are very crucial I don't know what the right word would be, but to be able to sit in both of those seats, would be very beneficial to everybody,
Yeah, it seems like, the yin and yang, it's both sides, the internal and the external.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so what's the bottom line, Kelly?
The art of the warrior, according to Sun Tzu, is mastery of perception, timing, and self. So conflict dissolves before it begins.
Awesome. Anybody have comments they want to make about the art of war, what we've covered today?
Okay. Shall we start the Bhagavad Gita?
We shall.
Okay. Go right ahead, my dear.
Oh, I shall start it. Okay, so the Bhagavad Gita, it doesn't sidestep conflict, but it stands directly in the battlefield. The story takes place on the battlefield. And the overarching theme, according to me, is the Bhagavad Gita teaches that the true warrior fights from duty, devotion, and clarity, not ego, fear, or the desire for results. So the warrior's task is right action, not guaranteed outcomes. So do what's right, not thinking about what kind of outcomes you might get, which off the bat I'm thinking like, yeah, but you don't want to go to jail. I think you do need to think of the outcome a little bit, but we'll see where we go with this. So the setting, if you have not read the Bhagavad Gita, the setting is on a battlefield, and the warrior's name is Arjuna. And he's paralyzed by fear, and he's questioning the morality of fighting. He doesn't want to cause harm, and he's overwhelmed by doubt and emotion. He's got people, friends and family on both sides of the battlefield. So he's not a fearless warrior, but he is a conscious one. And he has a guy named Krishna who teaches him how to act rightly while remaining spiritually free. So we have 6 core ideas on this one. I'll go over the first one. The first core idea of the Bhagavad Gita is to do your duty without attachment to results. Like I said, we don't want to go to jail, so let's go home tonight to our families. That's the goal, is to get home and be peaceful. So Krishna tells Arjuna, you have a right to your actions, but never to the fruits of your actions. So Arjuna is paralyzed because he fears the consequences of fighting, the guilt, the loss, the blame. But Krishna redirects him. He redirects him to focus on doing what is right, not on what might happen afterward. And he says, if you only act when outcomes are guaranteed, you'll rarely act at all. And Arjuna's job as a warrior is to protect Dharma, which sometimes is translated as order or justice. So he's supposed to protect Dharma, not to manage the universe. So the message from this book, one message, is the warrior acts from integrity, not control. So the spiritual message is the warrior acts from alignment, aligning with what is right, not outcome, and act because it is right, release control over the outcomes, and let go of the reward, recognition, or blame. You're either going to be the winner or the loser. I don't know how many ties there are in war. They don't talk about that in history. I don't know. So we have some questions. I guess I'll read through them first, and we can pick and choose what we want to talk about. So first, you can ask yourself, where in my life do I hesitate to act because I can't guarantee the outcome? Am I more focused on doing what is right or on how I will be seen or rewarded? What would change if I measured success by integrity instead of results? Do fear of blame or desire for recognition ever influence my decisions? And what action feels aligned for me right now, even if the outcome is uncertain? Any of those you want to tackle, Kelly?
I was, while you were reading those, I was like, where am I going to go with this? Do fear of blame or desire of recognition ever influences my desire? I would say that one, well, I tend to be more hidden. I don't particularly care for the limelight very much. And so for that in itself will influence me on a lot of my decisions. So, I know I have to get myself out there. It can be a little bit of a shove push of myself to get out there and do stuff. And then have the recognition for it too. Just I will no, that's not me, that's you, I find ways, I guess, to put the recognition off on others more than I put on myself. So I don't, that desire to be recognized can really kind of make me kind of fall into my shell because I don't necessarily want to be recognized. And sometimes that does influence my decisions on what I do. But like last week, I had to get out of my shell because I did a couple sound baths, and there I had to, speak in front of people and be able to get out there and talk to them and be able to share all my wonderful singing bowls and my gong and everything else that came along with the tuning forks with them. So I had to get out of my shell, but that there is that fear of that recognition, like, really, you say this was a good thing, I did something to do, oh, really? So I tend to kind of back away a lot of times with that. So that's me, but I'm working on not being like that. I'm working to just kind of accepting, when people say something nice and say, you did very well. I'm like, really? I did? Are you sure? Maybe I need to go back and listen to that again because I don't think so. So
what did you say when they said you did great? I'm sure you didn't say, really? Are you sure?
I have. I've said it to Bliss. Bliss will say, you did really good on this, and I'm like, really? Are you sure?
But at your sound bath to those people that you didn't know very well.
I try to be gracious and say thank you, and I try not to show my insecurities there as much. But yeah, it's there.
Yeah, and you're noticing it, your awareness. We talked about awareness tonight.
Yep.
So your fear of recognition isn't stopping you, though.
Because I know I have, it's something I am working towards getting out of. One, I want my business to grow more, and I love playing my singing bowls, and what good are my singing bowls and my gong and the tuning forks if I just keep them for myself? So it's something that I do because I want to get out of that shell and be more open.
Awesome.
So
Yeah, the Peanut Gallery have any comments on acting without attachment to results? Anybody been to jail? Just kidding.
For too much.
If it's not fun, I don't want to have a podcast. So anyway,
I don't want to be in jail either. So okay, we're good there.
or you can plead the fifth. That's okay. You don't have to.
So how about you? Is there any of these on here that resonate with you?
Well, I thought about the first question, where in my life do I hesitate to act because I can't guarantee the outcome? Well, I do lots of actions not knowing how it's going to work out and thinking it's going to be great, and then it kind of falls flat, and then that kind of gets me down when I could better be served by looking at it as a learning experience. I learned a lot. I practiced. When something comes up, then I'm ready. Like, I was asked to speak about hypnosis at essentially it's a spiritual book club, and I'm only hesitating because it's like, that's another thing to do, another thing I got to prepare for. So I'm sure I'll do it. I'm just not sure I'm going to do it in June when they ask. But looking back, I've done an hour and a half talk about hypnosis before. You know, I've done 20-minute keynotes. I have slides. So even though it didn't like get me business from it, it prepared me. I've practiced, and if I don't get any clients from this, which I don't expect to really, because they all know I'm a hypnotist. It's nothing new to them. But it's just me participating isn't the word, me contributing to the group. You know, everybody kind of takes turns. So I guess I'm hesitating to act now because of the overwhelm of stuff. And I don't know, what am I going to be doing in June? That's like a whole month away. So we'll see. But that's what stood out to me on these questions. I don't know if anybody else taught how they're limiting themselves maybe because they want to control the outcome. Our group might be a little more spiritually advanced in that way than me or other people watching later. But if you have any comments, this would be the time. Unmute yourself. Going once, going twice, moving on. Okay, Kelly's going to share the second core idea.
The second core is the warrior must act. Avoidance is not peace. At the start, Arjuna drops his bow and refuses to fight. He says compassion makes him want to withdraw. Krishna responds, no one can remain even if a moment without action. He says inaction can be a form of ego. He explains that refusing to act can still create consequences. Non-action can cause more harm than action. He calls out spiritual bypassing. Avoiding responsibility is not spiritual. Avoiding duty isn't peace. Sometimes it's fear dressed up as a virtue. True peace includes courageous action. The Gita teaches that spirituality doesn't mean disengagement from life. It means showing up differently. Peace isn't hidden from life. It's meeting life consistently. 1. Where in my life might I be called something peace when it is actually avoidance? 2. Is there a responsibility I know is mine but hesitate to face? What am I really afraid of? 3. Have I ever delayed action in the name of being spiritual or kind when clarity or courage was needed instead? 4. What would it look like to show up consciously rather than withdraw comfortably? And last, when I avoid a situation, does it truly bring peace or just propone discomfort? Yeah.
Yes.
Whew. Yeah, those are some questions. You know, I would say probably the first one. So in my life, might I be calling something peace when it actually is avoidance? I would say, and I don't have any, or I'm not thinking of any examples right now, but I could say that I probably did this a lot more so in my younger years, trying to keep peace. And instead of actually talking it out or bringing it up or trying to work things out. Like I said, I don't have an example of it, but I can definitely see myself being more of a peacekeeper than creating avoidance or making waves. And I did this a lot more when I was younger. I think having kids really brings out the there's peace when sometimes being a parent, but also, you can't always avoid it. You have to look things straight in the eye and just, you have to deal with it. You can't say, all right, enough, peace, unless they're fighting and you're just trying to get them to stop arguing. But again, I think I was more like that in my younger years. Not so, I still probably do some now, but not as much. Is there a responsibility I know in mind but hesitate to face? And what am I really afraid of? I could also come up with something for that one too. I guess my responsibilities and sometimes doing what I need to do can be difficult because a lot of times I have, not all the time, but there are times, what are people going to say? What are people going to think of me? If I don't do this responsibility, or if I decide not to do this responsibility, then, what is that going to do? Am I going to lose a friend, or am I going to hurt somebody, or, hurt their feelings, or am I going to make a fool out of myself? So sometimes that does come into play with some of the things that I do, because that fear sometimes is like, well, what are they going to think? Or can I live with myself if I don't do the right thing? Or if I decide not to do something, how am I going to face that? And these are just questions I sometimes have internally dialogued with me. But these 5 questions really kind of like hit deep down inside of some of my fears and some of my things that maybe I do hide behind some of my stuff. Maybe I do, but it's looking at it and acknowledging it and working through it, so that I can be the best person I can be, not hiding behind my fears. It's looking at them and being responsible and taking on. So, I don't know. How about you?
Well, I was thinking about the first one, where in my life might I be calling something peace when it's actually avoidance, because refusing to act still creates consequences, right?
Yep.
And that can be a lot of people-pleasing, and I think our culture really teaches women to defer to the husband and please them, and we want to please them, but we can't not please ourselves all the time, right? And the example that came to my mind is, okay, my husband. So we'll be sitting next to each other, and he's on his phone or on Facebook or whatever, something he's listening to, and I'll ask him to turn it down because I'm on my computer and I'm doing my own thing. And he does, and that's fine. But then I'll go in the kitchen and I'm listening to something and I have it on loud because you're running the water and you're banging around. And he came in and made a comment about how it was loud in there, and about how, I'm always asking him to turn down my sound or his sound. I'm always asking him to turn his sound down. And I didn't back down. And I did it kind of with some humor. I said, okay, wait, we have to have a little talk. I said, when you're alone in the room, you can have it as loud as you want. I was alone in the kitchen, I can have it as loud as I want. But I'm being courteous, I'm being considerate when you come in. That's why when you come in the kitchen, I'll turn off the sound. I'll pause it or whatever and see what he needs, or not have it blaring at him. But anyway, I think it took me a while before I realized that if I do it in the right way, that it wasn't going to backfire on me. So I think that's what we have to learn, is how to confront things in a way that's not like, you rah, 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 rah.
Yes. It comes down to words. Words matter. And
tone. And tone matters.
Tone and expression and in how you relay it. It all plays a huge part in all of this. The inside and the outside. How well do you articulate to another person, and that not create. You can have conflict, but you can have a conflict where you both can talk in a normal tone and resolve it without a screaming match, but it's your wording that you choose to help with all that conflict. And you showed a great example of it because you made humor out of it. You found a different way to let him know that, hey, you were in another room, I was in a different room, and so I feel like that was a good way of showing how your words and your expression and everything else, yes, it was not really, you were making peace, but you were not avoiding it either. You were standing up for yourself, like, hey, I was listening to this. So it all comes down, I think, to that awareness of words and how you present them.
Yeah, my husband listens whatever he's listening on Facebook, but it's always talking about how women have such power over men. And I debated whether I was going to talk about this right now, but I'm going to. So if they're upset, what do? Do you know what I'm going to say, Kelly?
No, I have no idea.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to do it. Are y'all listening? Okay, stop what you're doing, everybody, so you don't, like, fall on your face. You show them your babies.
Oh, my gosh. I forgot about that one.
And I tried it once. I usually forget. That's not where my mind goes when he's upset. Just show him my babies.
It's like Christopher saying when you're having conflict, you start dancing with another person, or you start putting your hands together and you start moving with them, and that helps resolve that conflict. It's a little this is a little more for everybody, but I guess the boobies, when you're having conflict with your husband, is a way of resolving that. And I liked the little face crying geek. That was very cute.
Tears of laughter. Or and you know what? So I'll tell you about the incident. I used it. He got a delivery. We got a delivery, outside, and you know how they'll take a picture and they send it to you. So he got a text, I guess, of a picture because it was on his phone, and so he looks at it, and it was so blurry. He's like, "What? I already know what I'm looking at." And they asked him how delivery was, and he used some not nice words like "it sucks," and it was AI, obviously, because it's like, "I don't understand what you mean." So he said something else nasty back. So he was all in the mood about this stupid picture on a delivery that doesn't matter. We got the package fine. So I went, woo! And boy, he got a big smile on his face.
Conflict resolved.
Yeah, so Guy might want to tell his girlfriend, when I'm ever upset, you have power to get me change your mood. That's what it is, to change his mood. So we women, we can use our feminine wiles.
I like how you're thinking there.
Tell your girlfriend. I think you have a girlfriend. If not, you will soon. And you might want to keep her if she can change your mood like that, right? So anyhow, yeah. Oh, okay. So one time I was mad at him, and guess what he did? Hi, hold on.
Okay, little brief interruption. So anyways, did we get caught?
No, he didn't hear me, apparently. Well, or he's not saying anything.
Okay.
Okay, so just use your imagination what he flashed. There, we'll move on.
Move along. All right, let's keep this PG. All right. Anybody else want to comment? All right. How about we move on to number 3? Inner detachment, not emotional numbness. Krishna tells Arjuna, be steadfast in yoga, abandoning attachment, and remain ever-minded in success and failure. Arjuna is emotional and grieving. Krishna never tells him to stop feeling or caring. He teaches steadiness, calm, and composure under strain. He teaches emotional maturity and not suppression. Feel what you feel, but don't let feelings drive the chariot. The warrior feels deeply but chooses wisely. The warrior learns, feel fully, act clearly, stay inwardly steady. So the questions are, when strong emotions arise, do I let them guide my actions, or do I pause to choose my response? 2, do I ever confuse detachment with not caring rather than caring wisely? Can I allow myself to feel deeply without needing to react immediately? Where in my life would greater inner steadiness help me make clearer decisions? What helps me return to center when emotions feeling overwhelming? Well, what do you think, Kim?
Well, the word detachment, do I ever confuse a detachment with not caring rather than caring wisely? Because I wonder how, I notice sometimes I can be really detached from things that are going on, and I wonder, like, I just don't care. Am I not feeling? But I think sometimes it is a virtue to be able to detach. Some people are too emotional with everything, and that's not good. But being detached all the time isn't good. So I think it's the even keel, being even-minded is what we need to be, and observe the situation. The strong emotions arising, are they guiding your actions, or are you choosing your response? Yeah, I think you always have to step back and pause a second before you respond. Like, is what I'm going to say, what is it, nice? Is it necessary? Is it kind? Or there's one other, nice and kind are the same. Is it helpful? Might be the other third one. And how can I say this in a way that will be received, and not telling you what to do? I think even asking a question of somebody can be helpful, like, do you want to read the next one? Not, hey, you read the next one. Right. I just observing other people and how they do it, and I'm like, oh, okay. They can model it for me, and watching people who have an even keel and learn from them.
Correct.
How about you?
I would say the first one, when strong emotions arise, do I let them guide my actions, or do I pause to choose my response? And I would say it depends a lot on where I am at and how well I can stop, take that breath, and then respond. There's times where my emotions get the best of me and I become Mama Bear. And then there's times where Mama Bear takes a breath and she slows down her breathing before she responds. Sometimes it happens like I'm in the act of charging and realize what I'm doing, and I stop and say, wait a minute. It all depends on how aware, here's the word, awareness, how aware I am when those situations arise, and for me to, and how I am going to react. I would love to say that I pause all the time before a stressful situation and respond. I don't always do that. I can say that in my younger years when I worked EMS, that I had to, one of the things I learned so I could cope with EMS is to be able to really swallow or just stop feeling my stuff and let that not show because of whatever was going on with whatever scenes that I was on. That emotional body had to really sometimes had to be like swallowed deep down, and it took me a while for me to allow my emotions to start being able to come out. But then when they did start coming out, then I had to, it was learning to not over respond with those emotions because they had to be controlled because of the scenes that I was on. So at different times of my life, that strong emotions either got buried or those emotions came out fiercely as a big old bear. So
can you remind us what EMS means?
Emergency medical services.
So you were like
an EMT, paramedic.
Okay.
Yep.
So you see horrifying things and it's upsetting, but you have to do your job, so you had to suppress your emotions. And did you do that later, or how did you?
It became a learned thing as I worked EMS. Suppressing my emotions became something learned, because if I let my emotions go too much, then it made it really difficult for me to do my job. But my body and my emotional body would take it out in my dreams. I would have nightmares and hard time. I would scream at night. I would relive scenes. So my emotions would come out, but they would come out in different ways. So again, it's those trying to detach from caring too much on scenes and then trying to care in normal life and keeping it was quite interesting, and I feel like after I got out of EMS working in the ER, that kind of switched too. The emotions, it's helping people that are in crisis and then you still have to deal with things at home, and so there's a lot of that detachment, and then you become uncaring, but then you want to be caring, and then you're like, but I can't cry or I can't do this because this is overwhelming, and that. So there's all these different emotions in trying not to detach and trying not to care too much and trying to hold it back. It's been a journey through the last 25, 30 years of how these emotions and how you react and how to care wisely, but not over caring and all of it. So yeah, that was a lot.
Yeah. I can't imagine having to deal with that. Maybe not daily, but practically all the time. Yeah. It takes a special person to care for others like that. So you're special.
We're all special.
Well, you're special in that way.
So, anybody else? Do you want to comment on anything, or should we move on?
How are we doing on time?
We have 20 minutes.
Hey, this is Linda.
Go for it, Linda.
Hi. I can relate to learning to be detached, and then as I was trying to control my emotions, and then if I had people that were almost wanting to pick fights with me, like my mother or a husband or somebody or my son, either, and it's like I was really trying to be detached and calm, but then they would feel like I was being like cold-hearted and not caring at all, and it was almost like the goal was to get me to show that I care by getting upset. And if I wasn't upset enough, if I wasn't upset the way they were upset, then I was uncaring, and that was a weakness on my part, that I needed to be more caring and be upset like they were. So that's something that I have struggled with.
Yeah, that was, your reaction was unacceptable.
Right.
To their thinking.
Right, but it feels better to me to stay calm than to get upset. I don't want to be triggered into being upset, because I don't see how that helps anybody.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
But it's also the art. It's also the art of the warrior. It's art of, the Bhagavad Gita. The whole thing is just in these situations, trying to keep that awareness and that presence and that calmness. But a lot of people, not everybody, but there are a lot of people that look at that and they're like, we're trying to get a rise out of you. Why don't you fight back? Why don't? And it's just like, I don't need to.
Right.
And, yeah.
And especially being a woman, because the stereotype is that men are more calm and steady, and that women are all emotional. And so if a man's getting all upset in all kinds of different ways and all emotional, and then as a woman, you're supposed to be the one matching that and going overboard.
Right.
So it's almost like, if you're being more manly than they are, because they're being all emotional and you're not, then they're insulted too.
Yeah, exactly.
That reminded me something. It was in my hypnosis training about emotions win over logic every time. So when you are worked up and emotional, you're not going to think clearly. You're going to go with your emotions, no matter if it's not logical to you. And you can actually use that. When somebody is emotional, they're actually very suggestible, where you can put a little nugget into their subconscious mind, like if they're angry or something, and they're worked up, you can say like, "Oh, you're calm," and they kind of just let it in, because they're not blocking; they're just emoting. And so that is why people trying to control the population want you to be emotional. They want you to be fighting. They want you to be angry, because then they can control you, because you're not being logical, and they can push you in the way you want. So they want you to be in fear, because you won't think logically. You're just like, I just need this problem solved now, and how do I do it? And somebody suggests it to you, and it goes right in, and there you go.
Right. That makes sense.
So they'll create the problem and give you their solution to do what they want.
It's like during COVID. They
Yes.
create fear. They create the fear. Then everybody's in a panic. Oh my God, and then boom, we got a vaccine for you.
Here's your solution.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was.
And
Go ahead.
well, I was saying during COVID, everybody's in fear and wearing masks with I was in I still am in Toastmasters, and you had to wear a mask in the building to get to the room, but once you were there you could take it off if you wanted. So where's the logic in that? I don't know. The whole wear in a restaurant to your table and then you can take it off because whatever. But I actually did a talk about Fear Not, I think was the title, and telling them all about fear and how governments use it for control, to make money, for power, and how they use fear. I didn't actually say COVID because I didn't want to get shot, but it just went right over their head, and I'm like, well, I tried in my own way, but they were in fear and they weren't going to hear it because they were in that fear and the logic wasn't going in.
Yep. Yeah,
it's tough.
It is.
And it's just, we've talked about this in this series already about just being the observer. That's the awareness, is observing your feelings and deciding, do I want to think these thoughts that's creating these feelings? Or do I want to let it go and pick my battles? There's just so much to being human. We're all just trying to figure it out, aren't we?
Well, do you want to do number 4?
I think we might want to wrap up.
Okay. And then just go back to it on our next one and finish up.
I guess we'll finish next time. Tune in for part 5. Woohoo! And I promise we'll finish. I probably shouldn't, but I think we can finish. We finished 3 of the 6 on Bhagavad Gita. Anyhow, so do we have any comments before we end with our little poem? Do you want to say how to reach you if they want, or what do you do? People, this might be their first podcast about us.
Okay. My name is Kelly, and I have an office in Plymouth, Michigan. My business is Intuitive Health Restoration. I offer craniosacral therapy, sound therapy, and a little bit of nutrition. You can go to my website, www.ihealthrestoration.com. You can book appointments there. You can see what's all offered. And I look forward to seeing whoever decides to show up.
The perfect clients show up. And that's
right.
I, the letter I, right?
Letter I.
Not this I.
Yep.
Okay, I'm Kim Messer-Smith, owner of the Perfect Healing Spot, and I'm in Southwestern Virginia. I also do tuning fork work. I do hypnosis. I do some body balancing, getting the body and brain working together because you were built to heal, and we just need those messages from the brain to get to the body and the body to get to the brain, and all will be well, in my opinion. So I guess you can find me at theperfecthealingspot.com. Awesome. And we just thank you for joining us tonight, and we hope we spurred some inspiration, questions, self-reflection that was helpful.
Yes.
All right. So we are going to end with the poem of the Bodhisattva Warrior. And actually, I Googled, without using Google, but I Googled why this poem will say like her and then it'll be him, and it's like we're talking about a warrior as one person, and it said they did that because it's incorporating, I guess I did write it down, the dual part masculine and feminine in the warrior, because we all have masculine and feminine, and they consider, or it is considered, compassion to be more of a feminine trait and strength to be more masculine, but we need both to be the Bodhisattva warrior. And in my understanding, the Bodhisattva is somebody who has reached enlightenment, if that's what you can call it, and they choose to stay here and help. They don't just move on to the next realm, or there can be many interpretations of that. I'm not saying I have that exactly right, but that's the way I think of it, because I think like, well, if I figure it out, yeah, I want to help others. Why do I want to just, if I figured it out, I'm off the wheel, I'm gone. What fun is that? I want to have all these emotions and do crazy things. I guess if you're a Bodhisattva, you don't do that anymore. But I guess help other people. That is my dialogue on that. Okay, so serious now. Here's the poem of the Bodhisattva Warrior, and it's from the book, The Life and Teachings of the 13th Dalai Lama, or it's actually Path of the Bodhisattva Warrior, The Life and Teachings of the 13th Dalai Lama. And I believe we're on the 14th right now that everybody's familiar with. Is that correct?
I think so.
Yeah, I think it was the one before last. So, if you like, just relax a second and take this in. The Bodhisattva is like the mightiest of warriors, but her enemies are not common foes of flesh and bone. His fight is with the inner delusions, the afflictions of self-cherishing and ego-grasping, those most terrible of demons that catch living beings in the snares of confusion and cause them forever to wander in pain, frustration, and sorrow. Her mission is to harm ignorance and delusion, never living beings. These he looks upon with kindness, patience, and empathy, cherishing them like a mother cherishes her only child. She is the real hero, calmly facing any hardship in order to bring peace, happiness, and liberation to the world. So let's all endeavor to work our ways to become the Bodhisattva warrior that we are within, embracing our masculine, our feminine, our compassion, our strength, our understanding, our awareness, and enjoy the life we have here. Do our best to help others.
Thank you, Kim.
You're welcome. So tune in next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. I hope you all aren't too young and have no idea what I'm talking about. I told you I gotta have fun, or why be here? All right. So tune in Monday. We have somebody great. You'll find out if you tune in. Christopher's at ChristopherTims.com, and he will be live Tuesday at 7:30. And you all have a great night.
Sounds great. Thank you.
Take care, everybody.